Hello and welcome to Sunday Night Soccer. I'm here with my man Mike D, our Valentine's Day edition, NBA All-Star edition, whatever you want to call it. How's it going, my man?
Hey, it is excellent. My fridge is open, so unless you want to hear beeping the entire time, let me go close that right quick. Yeah, okay.
Go take care of that. That's all right.
Come on.
Anything happens here on Sunday Night Soccer, straight from the training ground.
And then you saw my daughter's stuff in the background. Great.
That's all right. Yeah. It wouldn't be a show without some technical difficulties, man.
Oh,
so,
that's the truth.
Everything been
How are
good
you,
with
Jay?
you?
It's great to see you, my friend.
Good. You too, my man. It's a little chilly here. We've had some snow.
Yeah.
20-mile-an-hour winds, man.
Really?
Crazy. Yeah, crazy. So it's
How
still
does
winter.
How does your house hold up with this wind? Do you hear it?
We have an old house. Yeah, we have an old. Our house is like 100 years old, brick.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, brick house. So yeah. But it's crazy, man. I'm done with winter. I can tell you that, man. Jeez. So, anyways, we'll get right into it here, if you don't mind, my man. We got a lot to talk about. Talk about. So this week in soccer, we'll talk about that a little bit. We got some stats, league leaders. We also got a little new twist in there for you that you requested. We'll add that to everybody's list this week. We got a coaching topic I think might be helpful for a lot of people. Something overlooked, I think, a lot of times. The big issue, big announcement in soccer here in the United States this week, which we will get to soon. And we'll have the highlights, team of the week, and our Spanish lesson. And to close out the show, we got our man in the background. He's backstage. We can't bring him out yet. We don't want to set off the crowd yet. For Eric will chime in with our errores. You ready for that?
Yes.
That's our errors, our mistakes of the week.
Errores.
So he will wrap things up instead of putting him on the spot like we did last week. All right.
I dig it.
So moving on here to this week in soccer, a couple things going on. New MLS kits announced for all teams. MLS starts this week. So this coming week, the MLS season will get started again. Everton stunner scored a late goal to tie Liverpool in the last Merseyside derby there at Goodison Park as they're moving into a new stadium.
Wait a second. Let's stop there. Did you realize that is a complete even draw between Everton and Liverpool in their complete competition against each other?
Overall total record.
Draw overall is a complete draw. And I believe that's the last one.
Yeah, last one there. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. So
yeah. What a great finale then to have that as a complete even. Yeah.
Yep. And then here's a big one. The U.S. men's national team, U17 team. I don't know if you saw this. They won 22-0.
Yeah, I saw that, bro. What the hell?
Against the Virgin Islands.
You know what? It's crazy. You look over that. You see that, and you're like, okay, what's the catch? Like, what
no, it was 22
now. They play.
Yeah. And a guy on the crew, that's a part of the crew organization, scored 10 goals. He had a hat trick in 5 minutes. He scored in like the 8th, 10th, and 13th minute or something like that.
Just a day at the office.
10 goals. That's like you in the street league, isn't it?
You don't see 22-0 in Sunday Rec League. So what are we talking about right now? Like, what is that? Like,
that is bizarre, man. Bizarre. That's why it had to make our headlines. I can tell you that.
Hey.
On a negative note, 7 Mexican players, I believe, in the second division, but they were suspended a combined 57 years for match fixing. A little gambling going on. Combined 57 years. Yes.
It's doubtful they come back then.
I would say it would be difficult. Yes, it would be difficult. And then Real Madrid comes up with a late win against City in the Champions League. I think they scored 2 goals there in the last 10 minutes.
Man City gave that game away.
Yep. So
that was a catastrophe.
But a lot of things going on last week. We talked about the FA Cup. Champions League is revving up now, and MLS starting up next week. So a lot of exciting things here going on with soccer. And then, the average 22-0 win sometimes in an international game.
Yeah, the average is like 22-0. Like, that happens once in a century.
I don't honestly I don't remember ever seeing that on any kind of a real legit game. Do you ever?
No.
I mean,
you know what? I wish this could be an indication of where the USA is going as a,
well,
like this is it right here. Like, listen, we're beating Close 22-0. Like, we're on our way, but
I don't know about that.
It doesn't mean that, but I think it's a hint of the right direction.
Yeah.
Maybe our attacking is getting a bit better.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so there's kind of this week in soccer, some of the headlines. Moving along here, Mike D, I'll let you share this out. This is the league tables, top three of the top leagues. And in the background, we're going to shout out to our boy. You give a shout out to me.
Yeah, shout out to our boy Ajax Stacks. He's actually part of the Soccer Rebellion. He's a hip hop artist, has been for the last, 18 years, 19 years. And he's worked with the likes of, let's say, Project Pat, and a lot of various artists. He's been around Texas. He's been around Grand Rapids, the Midwest, the South. So he's definitely someone that's great. And he ties us to the hip hop culture. So shout out to Ajax Stacks for everything that you do for the Soccer Rebellion. If you don't know about the Soccer Rebellion, we are very much associated with the hip hop culture, and we support that. And all those artists that are out there craving those next levels. So we earn support. So let's hear Ajax Stacks go at it.
So he sent us a little background track for you to go over the league tables. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rap it. Okay, so we have in the Premier League, we have Liverpool standing at the top with 60 points, 18 goals, 6 losses and 1 draw. Arsenal in second place with 15 wins, 8 with 53 points. Nottingham Forest, which is the big story, with 14 wins, 5 losses and 6 draws. So they're not necessarily losing points from losses. So that's something to keep in account for. And then Man City, shockingly, in 4th place with 44 points, and tightly behind them is Bournemouth and Chelsea. Watching Man City as of lately, man, they just seem like a team that's been at the top too often and don't have the fire.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see. And I had an argument that we're going to get into a little bit later with someone that says Haaland still deserves the Ballon d'Or. So I disagree completely, but let's move on.
Yeah. All right. So there's the Premier League.
That's Premier League.
Moving on to Serie A in Italy.
Italy, my team. We're going to start with my team because AC Milan is my team and they have 41 points and they're in 7th place, but closely behind Fiorentina with 42 points, but standing comfortably at the top. Well, actually not so comfortably anymore. Napoli with 56 points and Inter right behind them with 54 points, only 2 points behind. With a win last time, Inter, so they're right there. Atalanta is there with 51 points in 3rd place, and Lazio in 4th place, trailing behind by 10 points with 46 points. And then Juventus is 3 points behind them, and Fiorentina and Milan. So that 5th place is pretty much open, but that 4 through 1 right now seems pretty much secured.
And I do believe Juventus just beat Napoli Juventus beat Inter this afternoon, I believe. So
wow, so that changes things quite a bit.
I believe so.
That's a big win. And if you look at Fiorentina right now, they've suffered 2 losses in a row. So that makes way with AC Milan having 2 wins in a row to make some room there to move forward.
We can only hope. We can only hope.
Yeah.
Moving along to the Bundesliga.
So we're looking at Germany right now. Bayern Munich, surprise, sitting in 1st place with 55 points. Leverkusen sitting there in 47 points. And then you have, help me with this one.
Eintracht Frankfurt.
And Eintracht Frankfurt with 42 points in 3rd place. And then RP Leipzig, which is they're no foreigner to being in the top 4 with 37 points. Then you see what else is followed. But Bayern Munich with a couple to lead. And if you look at Bundesliga, traditionally is at the top. I think what's unique about this is you don't see 2 of the big dogs up the top with Wolfsburg and Dortmund. Yeah.
Not even in the top 10.
Of the table. Yeah. So a little bit of a struggle there. So some differences in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to throw a new thing out here, something we talked about. We feel like it's a very important topic to talk about here. We're going to have a segment called Americans Abroad. Talk about, we have a lot of Americans that are playing, in the European League. So we're going to cover that for everybody here real quick. So one thing I think is interesting is that if you look at Turner had a clean sheet for Crystal Palace in the FA Cup.
Matt Turner's our goalie. So he's our number 1 goalie. So that's a great stat actually.
He hasn't been getting to play a lot. Had a clean sheet in the FA Cup though. That's good for him. 20-year-old Damian Downs. He's an up and coming guy. Okay, playing for Cologne in Germany. And He's kind of keep him on your watch list. Some people are saying they think he deserves a shot with the men's national team. He had 2 goals and an assist for Cologne in
Okay,
Germany.
DD.
Timothy Weah, your boy there, played 90 minutes for Juventus in the Champions League.
That's very big.
Right back. He's been playing back there a little bit for Juventus, but been doing well. And then Anthony Robinson, who we all love, helped Fulham to a 2-1 win against Crystal Palace. Aiden Morris and Middlesbrough lost 1-0 against Watford. Pulisic and AC Milan lost 1-0 in the Champions League, and they continue to just kind of be up and down, it seems like. Tyler Adams on Bournemouth, we just talked about the table in England. They're 5th place, so that's great for him. And Josh Sargent scored for Norwich in a 1-1 draw.
So let's go through this real quick. Aiden Morris and Damian Downs are the new names on the map.
Yeah.
That we're seeing here. I am curious to see more on Damian Downs. I don't know much about him. And it's
Me
Cologne.
neither.
At 2 goals is great. Curious to see more. AC Milan, if you don't know, and with Pulisic has been a complete tear, and there's been a lot of controversy on him and being in Italy, being the American, as people kind of don't want him there, but he has been undoubtedly one of their best players. So that's a curious kind of story to tell. And then I got to say this for real. Tyler Adams, I've always said, is probably the best American all around soccer player. Christian Pulisic, most electric, best goal scorer, not even a question. I think Tyler Adams has always been the best soccer player as far as his contributions on both sides of the ball. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they're in 5th place.
Yeah, no, one of the great stories, like you said earlier, about Nottingham Forest. And then the other great story in the Premier League has got to be Bournemouth. I mean, they're in 5th place. They're a team like that, and you're talking they're right there in the mix for a Champions League spot. I mean, it's great for him, obviously. Great for that team. I don't think many people at the beginning of the season probably would have picked that, but I'm sure they wouldn't have picked Nottingham Forest to be in 3rd place either. So
that's a good point.
Just goes to show you, you never know. You never know from one season to another.
And Norwich was in Premier League last year. Now they're in.
Yeah, they're down in the Championship.
They're in Champions League. But Josh Sargent's another story to pay attention to, because I just don't think he's ever been utilized right on the U.S. men's national team. As one of the things that I really appreciate about Josh is his work ethic. And I think in the final third, what he does so well is he just works his ass off and creates turnover. So he applies pressure, which as a coach is one of my favorite things that a striker can do, is apply pressure defensively, because I think it opens up rooms for more of the other layers to be more attacking focus, which creates more opportunity. So, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I agree with you. No, I feel like he's a hard worker. It's maybe as a striker, it's kind of not always pretty. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But he's a hard worker, and he kind of just keeps hanging around. You know what I mean? He just kind of keeps making things happen. You see his name, he scores a goal, and he just kind of makes things happen when he's out there.
He's an impactful player, and I feel like too much we go to Folan, right? Folan is the new kind of striker that we're all in love with.
Yeah.
And Pepe and or Bologna, whatever his name is.
Yeah, and I think Weah, Pulisic,
and Weah. So that's another thing to talk about, right?
They kind of get the headlines, but
yes, and Weah is a great striker. I also want to say that Weah is underrated, in my opinion, as well as one of the Americans that make an impact in the game. I think every time Weah is in an international game, he's very impactful, and plays fantastic. It's very noticeably different when he doesn't play. But I also think Josh Sargent just never has kind of gotten a fair nod. And I see more. So on top of that, Matt Turner's obviously the goalie. We know Anthony Robinson has been fantastic for us, and he continues to deliver in EPL. We know Pulisic is an all-star, and he's clutch as all hell. His clutch gene is probably what should take him to the next level.
Yeah.
And Tyler Adams, he's been injured for the last 2 years. So having him back in the roster is a big deal. And what I really like to see with this squad is Josh Sargent implemented somehow and given the chance. I mean, we have 1 year really until the 2026 World Cup. So how utilize some of these players?
Yeah, it'll be here quickly. So it's the international stuff here and preparing for the World Cup is ramping up here pretty quickly. So yeah. So a lot of I think the bottom line is there's a lot of things to be positive about. There's a lot of American players out there doing.
Do you have a favorite American player, Jay?
Current?
Current. Yeah, yeah. Let's just do current.
Current. Yeah, I would say probably Pulisic. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's probably Pulisic, proper pronunciation. But no, I would say Pulisic. But I like Aiden Morris, obviously, because he originally came here from the Crew. I
don't know much about Aiden Morris. Tell me about Aiden Morris. What kind of?
He's a hard worker, busy bee man, center midfield.
Okay.
Just a hard worker. He's been doing pretty well.
Smaller guy, bigger guy.
Smaller guy, yeah, but he's a solid center midfielder. Playing, he's starting and playing a lot for Middlesbrough this year. So he left the Crew, went to Middlesbrough. But he's been doing pretty well. Yeah.
Younger guy.
Yeah. So he's still kind of working on getting into the lineup with the national team, but he's been called up a handful of times and he's gotten a game here and there. So hopefully he continues to move in the right direction. But yeah, so a lot of guys, in Europe, in some of the biggest leagues, you can see, some of the big teams there on your screen, just doing some positive things. And, there's a lot of guys out there we didn't even mention this week. So, hopefully they keep that up. It's great to see.
And Middlesbrough is an EPL?
Championship. Yeah, they're with Norwich. Yeah. Second division in England. Yeah,
not Norwich. So. They're not. Norwich is in third place in EPL.
No, Norwich.
Oh, Norwich.
Josh Sargent. Yeah.
Got it. I got it. I'm sorry.
They're in the second. Yeah, they're both in the second division.
Who am I talking about?
You were talking about Nottingham
Forest.
Yeah. So no worries, big guy.
American ignorance. It's all good. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's all right. All right. So moving on here, we got some statistics here for everybody. Once again, Mo Salah still at the top, having a great season for Liverpool. He's leading.
Did you watch the game today, by the way?
No, I did not. I couldn't.
He had a goal taken away.
Oh, did he?
Liverpool should have won probably 4-1 today. Against the Wolves. I thought it was a great game. If anyone's listening to this, I would suggest that you rewatch that game and just watch how they both attack, different attacking styles, but also very good in the final third, both teams. Just fantastic. It's funny, man. So Jay, I'm going to ask you that. I'm going to go a little bit off topic because I want to.
I love when you say that.
Okay. So you ever had something when you watch the game, because you're watching at the highest level, click in your head on how you're supposed to coach?
I'm not sure. Tell me more.
So I was watching in transition today. I'm watching the Wolves and how narrow they got in transition. I don't think I've ever articulated. Like, gotcha. Obviously, right, you're going direct to goal.
Yeah.
When you transition, specifically at the counter. So
gotcha.
On the counter, you win the ball, your numbers are even or you have the advantage. What I've never articulated, and so when the possession became 5v5, right? So Liverpool would get 5 back. Yeah. And there was a little bit of possession going on, quick possession, right? You're still in the counter. What Wolves did really well was putting 5 in the box. So you played tiki-taka in the box really quick just to find a narrow window.
Gotcha. Okay.
I swear to God, man, and I don't care how this makes me look.
No,
I've never it clicked for me to articulate that.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to spread out your wins because defense is going to always be compact there.
Yeah.
But it was the holding kind of narrative, I think, of the offense that was surprising to me, how they still layered 3 on top of the box and had 2 making runs through with the guy in possession.
Yeah.
And it was still very poised.
It is crazy, though, isn't it, to watch something like
that?
Dude, you watch games all the time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see one thing and you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Oh, dude. It was just like, I was like, oh, dude, why don't I articulate it this way?
Yeah.
All right. No, so I digress. But thank you for your time, Jay. Yeah.
Anytime. That's what I'm here for, my man. That's what I'm here for. So our live listeners count just went way down the last
Yeah,
2 minutes.
no, my
But
bad.
that's all right. That's all right. No, no worries. So again, though, Mo Salah, like we said, leading the top 5 leagues in Europe with goals and assists. You can see right there, Harry Kane, right behind him still from Bayern, Redigue from Atalanta with 20, Holland with 19, Lewandowski, and Marmoush had a big weekend. He had a hat trick. He just came to City in January, and he's got 18 goals. And then if you switch over there to look at assists, he's up there 10 assists.
Yeah.
He's tied second there. So a bunch of guys there kind of tied at second with the assists, along with Anthony Robinson. He's still in there. Harry Kane in there from Bayern Munich with 8 assists, Rafinha from Barcelona, and Pulisic from AC Milan with 8 assists.
Rafinha is another one like Pulisic that's just having a resurgence of a season.
Yeah, I like watching him play. Yeah, I like Rafinha. So
do I.
And then the goalkeepers, the defenders and goalkeepers never get any love. Ramiro from Real Sociedad still with 11, Sommer with 11, and Gulaxi from Leipzig with 11. Bunch of guys there tied in the middle there with 10, as you can tell. And then Manuel Neuer from Bayern and a bunch of guys there at the bottom, including Pickford from Everton, all tied at 9 clean sheets. So there's your updated stats around the top 5 leagues in Europe for the week. Our next topic, coaching. And we talked during the week, Mike D. We wanted to throw out kind of the basics of how to put together a training session. Maybe a lot of people don't know this or aware of this. Maybe it's overlooked, I feel like sometimes. But I'll throw one situation out there. A long time ago, I had someone ask me to stop by. It was a parent, didn't have a lot of experience with soccer, and I got to practice, and I was going to help them with this like a U14 boys team. And the parent pulled out a notebook paper, right, full sheet. And I said, well, what do you want to work on tonight? And they had like 20 things written down, And I said, pick one. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, well, pick one. You got an hour and a half. You got 15 or 16, middle school boys. If you get one thing, improve on one thing, that's a great training session. And so just to go over this, and you and I have not had a lot of time to talk about this, so this is live, so we're throwing it out there.
Yeah, I love it.
But, the first thing I think is important for anyone is to select a topic. You just mentioned transition. And for all of our listeners, we didn't plan that out. That's actually what I made up here for the training session sample was transition. But you got to pick one topic, one thing to work on in a training session. Warm-up activity. Then you want to move to an individual or a smaller group activity. Then you want to move to a larger group activity. And then you want to play in some form at the end. Usually that's kind of the basic transition thing. Yeah. Now, Mike D, I don't know about you in high school, but I will say in high school as a coach, high school does not always fall that way because our high school season is very intense. And sometimes you have 2-3 games in a week. So a lot of times we don't follow this exact. I would say we follow the first 3/4 of that, but we don't always have time or the energy to play in scrimmage much at the end of training like you would. But this is a pretty typical outline for a training session. So, for example, if your topic was going to be transition for the night, I picked a little European handball, to get everybody moving around, transition from offense to defense because kids are aware of basketball and they kind of understand how that goes. Then a little 1v1 to 2v2 to 3v3 activity where there's a lot of change and chaos. Then you play 3 teams to goal. So maybe you have 5v5 and you have one team sitting out as bumpers around the outside of the field. And at any time, you blow the whistle as a coach, right? And the third team comes in. So there's some chaos, lots of transition moments. And then you play at the end. So that's just a quick example. But I think as a coach, I think a lot of that's overlooked. What about you, Mike D?
So I think the big thing to look at right here is depending on your team, can you be more specific with the training topic? So for me, transition, right? It would be transitioning where on the field. So the biggest thing you want to look at is when, what, why, where, and how. And I think as a coach,
well, it was like English class.
Well, it is. I mean, you want to, like, if you got to think about yourself as a player, especially if you're an American player or a United States player, right? You got to think about the kind of the things you weren't taught necessarily. And a lot of this was adaptive to watch, which I think was to our benefit in a lot of ways. But we didn't have the game and the field broken down into the sample sizes like the way it is now, with us having a lot more education. So the more specific I think that we can be in these moments allows scenarios to be more understood for our players. And that's kind of the difficult part of like what Jay was saying about being in high school, on how you have a survey of things that you need to work on always as a coach. Like there's not just one thing, but you got to think about the one thing the most. And that's
Prioritize.
Prioritize. And that's what determines a good coach, is that's going to give your team the uptick, that's going to promote their team to have a little bit more success. And that's your job as a coach. And if you're not good at that part, you're failing. And that's what it is. So coaches that are listening to this is your job. And if you're not sure what it is, there's a lot of resources now with video and other things that are going on to understand it. But if you're not dissecting your team and you're not able to articulate at the end of the game what your team did wrong or where they could have improvement, you're not doing your job as a coach. So while you're coaching, I would suggest that you have a handbook, you have something to write your ideas, because the game happens so fast, your emotions included in all this, that you're going to need to remember some of these things that are going on, that are happening. So
like a Duke Take notebook.
Like a Duke Take notebook. So shout out to Duke Take, which is a great resource for any coaches out there. And this is a good time for me to let everyone know. Please like and subscribe in the comment or right now on YouTube, on Straight from the Training Ground or at the Soccer Rebellion. And please go to our socials on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, all over the place, and like what we're doing. The more notoriety that we get, the more that we can expand our network, and the more that we can provide more for the soccer culture and the United States. And that's what we're trying to do, is just be a better platform for the soccer culture in the United States. So I'll start with that. So when you're talking about what you're talking about, so I would say transitioning. I would say transitioning from the midfield maybe to the attacking third. So that's more specific on the field of what we're talking about. So that incorporates who's involved in it, right? Who's going to be the ones that are responsible for the transition, what their roles are, which players need to hear more often. So they're not just sitting there improving the entire time, but they have a more flattened understanding of what their roles are as a team to and how they work. And then what it looks like to get to the attack. And when you're talking about transition, there's two pillars: transition from offense to defense, and there's defense to offense. So there's two ways to adapt to the game. If you have a team and you're looking at your team and there's a moment in between where they have to think about what their next responsibility is, that's too long. It should be instinctive. They should be able to go from offense to defense as quick as possible. And that's speed of play. And that's really, to me, a lot of the game is broken down and lost from better teams in transition from either or. Like if you don't know how to shut down the space, a good attacking team, they're going to exploit that space right away if a team doesn't know how to defend right away. And the same goes for a team that doesn't know how to get on the attack. Some teams are going to get in defense right away, and they're going to be able to push you off whatever opportunity that you must have. So European handball is a great example of a way to show. So you're going from transition to how to show the concept, right? So what do you do, especially in American sports, when you lose the ball, when you're playing handball, you're playing football, you're playing basketball? Yes. So that mental state is a little bit more obvious to the American player, I feel like, with handball. So playing that just to show them positioning, show them that train of mind seems to resonate so much with our American players. So that's a great example. And then what Jay lined out was exactly right. If you're talking about soccer, you're breaking this up into 1v1, 2v2, 3v3. Those are the basic concepts of what you're going to see on each layer and each vertical channel on the field. So that's a whole different thing to talk about on where you are. But what does it look like from a 1v1 standpoint? What does it look like from 2v2? And these are cues that your players should be able to identify in the game. They should be able to see up to 3v3 in a game. They should be able to identify, comprehend, scan, and understand what 3v3 looks like and where they can find space, what they're competing against, and how they can attack 3v3. Anything over that gets a little bit more complicated. This is why you break it down to that. And then, so what James is talking about, 3-team to goal. Then you have a game system where you're playing, where you have 3 different teams, and it's just continuous game flow to play. And then you play on a bigger field. That is the way to set up a training session. So You got to start small because you need to have them understand what it looks like in a small quadrant of what they're looking at. You need players to understand the microscope, also the big field, but you have to start with the microscope for them to understand what it looks like on the bigger side of the field. And that's
Man,
why
you incorporate English class and science into this little lesson.
did I say
Microscope,
microscope?
who, what, when, where, why,
I didn't know
and
what the
how.
fuck you were. I mean, I didn't know.
Man,
I didn't know you were talking about for a minute.
I love it.
So, anyway, that is the way to do it. And a lot of coaches, and when I took my federation training, it was play, practice, play model.
Yeah,
That's a French model that you take.
Yeah.
My opinion, bullshit. Okay, you need to build up into what you're talking about, and this needs to be precision. Like, this isn't thrown together. What Jay said, what Jay wrote on this was introduce the concept, show the concept in small sided, and show a bigger side, and then larger, and then play the game. But you have to show them intent of what you're working on, and that's the hardest part of a game that has so much improv during the game when they're making decisions.
Yeah.
Right. It is showing them direction and intent in certain scenarios and certain sides of the field.
And one more thing I just want to add before we move on. I think everyone needs to understand this has nothing to do with transition. Your training session should be like this, regardless of what topic you might pick. So whatever the topic you pick, you kind of want to follow that same model. So, but a lot of good things out there. If you have any other ideas and comments, there's a lot, more than one way to do these things. So always send those in to us. Moving along here. Big announcement this week, Mike D. Big announcement. And I know you have some opinions, some thoughts, maybe a little inside information on this. The USL announced this week that they are going to they are planning right now to start a new Division I professional league in 2027-28 with promotion relegation. What this means, if you're not aware of what that might mean, is it will rival the MLS. So the USL currently exists. They have a USL Championship, USL 1 and USL 2, and it is a professional league in the U.S., but it is a men's professional league that is the second level technically recognized below MLS. They're doing this to rival MLS, and they're also planning to institute promotion relegation. We're running a little long tonight, Mike D. I know you're losing focus, but now you got to kick that ADD out and just get hyper focused and tell everybody your thoughts.
I'll tell you what, I'm putting my blinders on
this huge announcement.
Okay, I'm putting my blinders on, Jay, because I'm going to tell you something. This just screams to me marketing ploy. And first of all, the federation is also the one granting power of divisions. So until the USSF can say they are Division I, they can call themselves whatever the hell they want to call themselves. It's kind of like claiming I'm going to be the mayor of 2027 without anyone actually granting you the power of being mayor.
Correct.
I see this as an attempt for the USL also to get more money for expansion teams because, let's be honest, the USL is not nearly as powerful as the MLS. Point in case, Messi, stop. Stop talking to me. Stop saying anything else. The power to bring the biggest soccer player in the world here and pay him is hand and fist over any type of league in that same country trying to compete with him. Done. All right?
Yeah.
You have USL fans that are naive, and that's what I'm saying. It is a complete marketing scheme. They are not sustainable to be able to do this. MLS is much more stable than the USL. The MLS doesn't have franchises quitting each year. The USL does. The USL plays in high school stadiums. MLS has certain stadiums that they have to abide by. They have certain requirements to make sure that they are legitimized to abide by. USL can do this. They can consider yourself tier 1. The USSFF would have to grant them that, right? What does it take? What does it take for the USSF to grant them that?
Well, I was going to say too, for our backroom staff, Eric, look up, I forget currently the bid fee, I want to say like 300 million it's up to now or something for an expansion team in MLS. It's something pretty crazy now, but we'll get our backroom staff on that.
So
but
that's my whole point. So all of a sudden the USL's got this type of money? No, they don't. You're not playing. You're not playing in high school stadiums with this type of money. Stop it.
I think that it was very interesting. It took the world by storm. It was all over the place. This week you and I were texting about it and talking about it. On one hand, I think it would be interesting because everyone here would love to see promotion, relegation, and a real system like that. But on the other hand, I go back to the women's league that you and I have talked about here before. We've had Adelaide Gay on our podcast a couple of times, who's a professional goalkeeper for DC United.
Lindsay Tarpley's supposed to be on our podcast.
Lindsay, well, you got it. That's your end of the bargain, buddy.
I got the relationship. Lindsay Tarpley is the she.
But so we got the reason I bring that up is she plays for DC Power, which is a USL professional team on the women's side that has started to rival the NWSL. And the reason I bring that up is, to me, it goes back to not everything being under the same umbrella for soccer in our country. And on one hand, I do like the idea of promotion, relegation. I do like the idea that, I don't know if this is possible, but if the USL can put a little pressure on MLS and kind of, force them to get out of their comfort zone a little bit, that would be nice. But on the other hand, I don't know why we keep having these leagues come up and challenge each other instead of just making one good league that's all under the same umbrella, that has promotion, relegation, that's organized, because it filters, as you and I know, all the way down to the kids and youth leagues.
Dude, don't you think that the USL would benefit way more than accepting a relegation league?
Well, here's why. In a perfect world, I would love to see I love the USL, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. I love the USL. I love supporting. We're going to get to this here in a minute.
But stop making people choose.
But I love the smaller, teams are popping up everywhere that people can support in their communities that maybe don't have an MLS team. But I would love in a perfect world to have the MLS the way it is, with USL right underneath it, and the USL teams having a chance to earn their way up through promotion. Would you?
Jay, what guy from Star Trek do I look like?
I don't know what you're doing. All I know is you must have had a great Valentine's Day weekend.
No, I'm just saying, I'm the guy from Reading Rainbow. The guy from Reading Rainbow was in Star Trek. He had this. So I'm with you, but that's what I'm saying. Like, USL would profit way more from being a farm system, in my opinion. Like, you claim to be grassroots, then be grassroots. Let MLS be what they're trying to be. I think your turnover would be less. You know your place, you know your role a little bit better, be more defined. I don't think necessarily you lose any traction. That collaboration makes the most sense. The fight doesn't make any sense. There's a clear winner right now.
Well, here's the other thing. What about later on down the road? Has anyone thought about what could this do to both groups?
Right.
After a few years, you know what I mean? Like,
it just doesn't seem like. I would love to see the statistics. So Eric in our back room about
Eric.
How many Americans play in the USL? Is that more homegrown? So what does that do domestically if we incorporate the USL to the MLS? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of positive, it seems, for those to come together. And tell me a real reason why it's not, besides money. Tell me the real reason why you're not promoting the sport first. Give me the MLS commissioner, give me the USL commissioner, and let's just get down to brass tacks.
It sounds like a debate. I would watch that debate.
I just want to know why can't you get along and do what's right for the sport? We all want it. We all want it to happen. It seems like it's in place. The pyramid's in place. What is your problem? Stop it.
So, big issue, like I said. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to come here. Something you should check out. So make sure you check that out and stay tuned, because I'm sure there'll be a lot more in not only the next few weeks. It sounds like this is going to be something that's going to be going on for quite a while. But big announcement there from USL. So moving along, we do have some highlights. So I worked on this a little bit. We got some highlights. Autumn, thanks for tuning in. It's all about the money. Yep.
Hey, by the
Show
way,
me the money. Show me the
Autumn is
money.
our women's director for the Soccer Rebellion. She's an absolute gem, the best. She is so good at what she does, from photography, videography, social media to just organization for the women's league and making sure that everyone's heard. She is, can't say enough great things about Automaco. So if you don't know the name, look her up, then link them. And if you can offer her up to $1 million, please do so.
All right, moving along to our highlights. Here we go. We got some highlights from Soccer Rebellion.
Hey, you got this one. I love that turn. How about that turn, Jay?
Yep.
I don't know nobody else that's doing this.
Does that look like ball mastery to you?
Now they want to
Yeah,
know
it
me
does,
since I
it
hit
does.
the top. Hey, this a rolling.
And then scores a goal. So
One more time. No,
great,
do it one more time. Do it one more time.
great highlight there from the Soccer Rebellion.
One more time, Jay.
Okay.
Look at the defender's reaction.
Yep.
He doesn't know what to do. He put his hands up like, bro, all he did is pull back, push. Pull back, push.
I don't know if that's Autumn's comment on the highlight or about your shout out to her, but either way.
I don't care.
All right. I know you don't.
I don't. Yeah. That was genuine, Autumn. So I hope you take it the right way.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
All right, quick shout out to our team of the week. The team of the week is none other than the West Virginia Highlanders. Who are the West Virginia Highlanders, you might ask? Well, they are coached by a great friend of mine, Ryan Wall. He's the founder, CEO. He does everything. He drives the team bus, and he also coaches them.
Hey, that's my guy, Ryan Wall. Well done, buddy.
Rosmondo helped start the Straight from the Training Ground podcast with me. So they play in the OVPL, the Ohio Valley Premier League. They've been great to us here, also Straight to Training Ground, so make sure you check them out. The OVPL is an amateur league, and this is what I was alluding to earlier when we talked about the USL. Check them out. There are a lot of leagues like this out in your area, so it's a great time over the summer to support a local team in your area. Get behind them, take your family out to watch high-level games. They're comprised of collegiate players. Technically, it's a U23 league. There are some adult players, but mainly it's a league for college players to play over the summer, stay fit. And there are other leagues out there as well like this. They just had their tryout for the upcoming summer. They had about 30 players show up for their tryouts, comprised of a lot of really good college players from various levels. And they also were the 2022 won their conference. There's two conferences that make up this league, and then they were a runner-up. They made it to the finals, so they were 2022 finalists. So
is Ryan Wall on the left in the white shirt?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God, he looks awkward in this photo.
He's excited. He just won.
He did not know what to do with his hands.
He just won. So
he looks like he's trying to show everyone the time.
Shout out to the West Virginia Highlanders. Keep up the great work out there. And now for the best part of our show, the Spanish words of the week. How do you say great job in a training session, Mike D, in Spanish?
Gran trabajo.
Gran trabajo.
Trabajo.
So now when you're training, I expect
gran trabajo.
Gran trabajo.
I don't know what I said in the beginning, but I feel like I screwed
it up. Now, yeah, exactly. For the best part, errores for this week, our Spanish word of errores. Eric is going to show us and tell us all the things we did wrong.
Oh, guys, not too many things you do wrong, ever. But before I even start, here we go.
Hey!
Mama Dublis,
Mama Dublis.
There we go.
Hey, Ma, I tried not to touch my beard.
You can thank her for creating Michael.
And you, Eric, you handsome devil.
That's right. I'm gorgeous. So bid for the MLS. Last bid was the San Diego San Diego Football Club. That was $500 million, Jay.
500.
Michael, the glasses guy that you were looking for Star Trek, that was Jordy. Jordy was his name.
Thank you.
There were 302 U.S. players out of 593 for the USL champions last year.
Say that again. Say that again.
302 U.S. players out of the 593.
Well, that's a pretty good stat, Jay.
Yeah. A couple of extra add-ons. The 22-0. There was a player named Chase Adams who scored 10 goals, which set the record for U.S. U.S. men's national team. He is on the crew. Their little thing. He's from Libertyville, Illinois, which is just down the street from me. But that is the most ever scored by a U.S. men's in a World Cup qualifier at any level. So congratulations, Chase. If you need any pointers, give us a call here on the show. We'll help you out. Josh Sargent has 5 goals in 5 matches since he's returned.
Wow, look at that.
That's
a great
huge.
stat. Thank you, Eric.
Anthony Robinson's nickname is Jedi because he's a massive Star Wars fan and has been since 5 years old. So if you want to be a fan of him, you can call him Jedi.
There you go.
Nottingham Forest is third in the EPL. So Michael was wrong on that when he called out that Norwich was third in the EPL.
No, I was saying Norwich in England sounds like Nottingham.
This is my segment. Thank you, Michael. Liverpool is our group of cheaters. Tiki-talk is a technical soccer term. So if you need to know that and you use that, it is technical. Michael said it. It's true.
Eric, what is tiki-talk?
Stop, Michael. Pulisic, not Pulisic. Pulisic is the correct way to pronounce that. He's also scored 6 goals and 6 assists in tournament play for his club. So you add on to what he's had, but then you look at what he's done outside of that in the bigger matches for tournaments. He's really stepped it up.
That's a great point.
Michael double majored in English and science, Jay. So that's why he brings those into.
That explains it. There you go.
And Michael is currently not actually running for mayor. We would like to end that debate right now.
We were getting a lot of heat on social media. My phone was blowing up during the show, man. Whew. Eric D, awesome stuff as always, man. We appreciate you in the backroom staff pointing out all of our errores. And as this is NBA weekend, Valentine's Day, Vince Carter, the dunk contest, it's over. I just want to say real quick, shout out to Mac McClung. Thank God for that guy for saving the dunk contest. Everybody else, peace out. Have a great week. Until next time, Sunday Night Soccer.